Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a millennial homemaker. This is your host, Brittany Duncan, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's the last episode of January. Personally, I feel like this month has flown by, but that's because January is always a busy month for me. My mom's birthday is in early January, and mine was last week, so there's typically a number of family gatherings and fun stuff planned. Both my brother and my in-laws were in town last weekend, which was super fun. But outside of that, January is a month of new systems and new plans, typically. So for some, I think it can go quickly, but if you're not a winter person, depending on where you live, you may feel like January can drag on. February even more so. I always find February, even though it's the shortest month, to feel like the longest because I'm itching for spring. If you're new here, I'm pregnant, which means that this winter is even more unusual because the only pro in my mind about January and February has been removed for me, and that is skiing. I decided to take off this winter season to keep baby Duncan as safe as possible, which means I've had a lot more time on my hands these winter months. And quite honestly, I've, had to put a little bit more effort into fighting the winter blues, hence today's episode. But before we get into that, let me share my 3 favorite things of the week, other than having my family here last weekend, which was just such a treat. First is that I did a subscription with Nuuly for the first time to rent some maternity pieces. Johnson and I are going on a trip, a baby moon. More to come about that another time, but I wanted some fun outfits to wear on that trip. And also while I had, family in town for birthday dinners and things like that. So normally, if you're a regular listener, you know this, I'm a thrift and consignment clothing girly. I love the hunt. I love affordable prices. I love finding pieces that are really great quality at those lower rates. And so actually, I saw this Instagram post that I thought was funny that was like, people think thrifting for clothing is gross, but the thrift girls are some of the most stuck-up girls you'll find when it comes to clothing. We're not thrifting Shein. No, we're thrifting Ralph Lauren, and she is 100% cashmere. We're not thrifting Target. We're thrifting 100% vintage silk. And while that's true, it's a lot harder to thrift cute styles that are quality. Let's support a big old baby bump. So enter the rental game. So anyway, I was really pleasantly surprised with the pieces that I got from Nuuly. I'll probably do it again, maybe for some baby shower outfits. We will see. Second favorite thing of the week is our pet insurance company. We have used Pets Best Insurance since Sage was a puppy and have absolutely loved it. Friends and family members can probably attest that Johnson and I are constantly singing their praises and so happy we've had pet insurance over the year. Recently, we adopted a neighborhood kitty, Margot. She kept showing up, and eventually I started feeding her, and then it got cold, and she started coming inside, and then we took her to the vet, and now she has our last name. She wasn't chipped. She got all her shots and exams, and we discovered an illness that she had, and so we got some treatment for that and submitted the claims to Pets Best. The process with Margot was just as simple as it's always been with Sage, and reconfirmed that I will be a lifelong pet insurance holder, likely with Pets Best, as long as nothing changes with their standards. Third favorite thing of the week is our Blackstone griddle, which has probably been in my favorite things before, but I freaking love this grill. It's a big flat surface. It makes cooking super simple. I just made chicken thighs to cover a few different recipes, and I was able to make them all at once in 15 minutes on the grill. Cleanup took 3 minutes. Absolutely love it. If you're looking for a grill, I love the Blackstone griddle. I just love how much you can cook on it and how easy it is to clean. Okay, let's dive into combating the winter blues. I was sitting thinking about why so many people don't love winter. Why we have a dedicated term, winter blues, actually several, right? There's seasonal depression is the biggest one. And why, as homemakers, we feel this. We're in our homes, our happy place, more. That should make us happier, right? Well, I have a few thoughts on why this might be. First is that a lot of homemakers are also gardeners, whether that's veggie gardening, floral, perennials, annuals. Many homemakers I know love putzing in their garden, and any gardener knows that this is a daily rhythm. Sometimes it's balls to the walls, sweat and pulling weeds and backbreaking work, but often it's just meandering with a cup of coffee or a crisp glass of white wine, if that's your thing, looking at our plants, picking off a deadhead here and there, and monitoring. It keeps our hands and eyes busy. As a work-from-home employee, when it's warm out, I often take what I call sunshine breaks, which is where I walk out on the porch, and for 5 minutes or so, I just stand there. I face the sun, and I bake. Our Idaho summers are hot, but I love that feeling. I melt for 5 minutes, and I feel the work and computer ick melt away, and that's something I miss during the winter months. Color. Winter tends to be drab and gray, and while white, gray, and beige had their moment in home decor, I think most people are coming back around and want color back. At the very least, even if you enjoy a neutral palette in your home, you probably like a dose of color outdoors during the summer months. Here in Boise, we get what's called an inversion during the winter months, and it's a huge contrast to the cloudless skies that we have all summer long. The cloud ceiling drops and one can feel boxed in even if you are outdoors, so that's another thing we face. Less human interaction. In the warmer months, our calendars tend to be busier. There are outdoor concerts, art festivals, we walk our dog without complaining and stop to chat with neighbors along the way. We dine outdoors and make experiences out of regular activities. In the winter, we lose so much of this. For starters, the days are significantly shorter. Not literally, but I don't know about you. I'm not going for a stroll at 7 p.m. in the dark. In the summer, 7 p.m. is early. I still have 2 hours of activity before I like to be home. It's cold. Many of my walks with Sage are me bundled, speed walking to check the box so I can be back inside where it's warm, and there are certainly no neighbors milling about. If we pass each other on a walk, it's usually a mutual, hey, good to see you, and continue because we're both wanting to get back inside and warm. Things just fall into being a little bit more routine. Dinners can get into a routine. We eat the same types of food at the same table night after night for months. We're limited to how many people we can host because many of us have smaller homes or dining tables, whereas in the summer months we could host a backyard barbecue and it's completely acceptable to eat standing with a paper plate. It's just the thing of winter. So that's another thing I was like, that's something I miss about summer. We're less observant to nature. There are less birds, pollinators are hibernating, crickets don't chirp, we don't smell the flowers in bloom, or see the acts of nature as much as we do in the spring, summer, and fall. There are a whole host of biological things happen. We are in the sun less, so we're probably vitamin D deficient, which directly affects our serotonin, the happy hormone production. We produce more melatonin, our sleep hormone, that makes us feel sluggish. We burn less calories and often eat more calorie-dense foods that often invoke inflammatory responses in our bodies. With less light and less movement, our dopamine, I think of that as the motivation hormone, decreases. Because of our increase in melatonin and disruption of our circadian rhythm due to the changes in daylight, our cortisol production can be impacted, and that affects our ability to regulate stress. The list goes on, and my point by mentioning the physical side of things happening in our body is to say, it's not just in your head. Your body has to work harder to stay happy, stay energetic, stay stress-free during these winter months. So, what can we do to help it? What can we do to address some of these things that I've talked about that we miss about summer and struggle with in the wintertime? Here's a few ideas that I've been implementing and enjoying. First, I talked about gardening, what we love about it, how it keeps our hands busy, how it keeps our eyes trained. It puts us with nature to touch and feel. Starting in January, I decided I would craft with nature. What does that mean? My first project was creating a cross with seashells. My granny lived in Turks and Caicos for years, and she recently passed some of her shell collection on to me to craft with. And it was so fun looking through the boxes like a puzzle, putting together the shape of different colors, textures, and, things of nature. It's just each shell, I was like, gosh, it's beautiful that, God has created this animal that leaves this beautiful reminder for us. My next project, while I was on this collaging with nature kick, was to create a hummingbird on paper with watercolor and pressed flowers. First, I painted a rough outline of the hummingbird, and then I used Mod Podge to glue pressed flowers into the shape of the bird. While I was on a cleaning and organizing spree in early January, I made a box of crafting supplies that are all from nature. Think shells, sea glass, seeds, bean pods, bark from trees, rocks, stones, pressed flowers, sand, things that I've collected over time on trips and walks. And if you don't have materials already, a lot can be ordered online. Like a lot of the pressed flowers I have are from a kit that I had ordered. Or alternatively, take a walk outside and pick up fallen leaves, trim off dried flowers and seed pods from your property. Start collecting random things that you see and think about what you can do with them. These art projects don't have to be hung on your wall. Heck, you can make it and then toss it after. The benefit is getting creative with natural elements and using your hands. Sun. There are a lot of UV lights, happy lights you can buy to fake your body into sunlight. But for me, the biggest thing I love about the sun is the warmth it provides. Those sunshine breaks. Gosh, I miss those. My next piece of advice would be to seek warmth. Melt your body. If you have a fireplace, this could be standing next to it until you start to sweat. If you have a hot tub or sauna, I'm jealous. Go get in that thing. Almost all of us can take a hot bath or shower, though. I take my showers, when I take my showers, I drop a few drops of essential oil in the corner. We have a window in there. I just added a plant for some extra greenery that kind of makes it feel like a little spa experience. If you don't have a window in your shower, you can always get eucalyptus, and that kind of hits both those stones of greenery plus the aromatherapy, which is neat. And so, yeah, it's just getting warm. Like, not even just warm, get hot, shake your body out of its stagnant place. I know people love a cold plunge. I am not that girl, but I'm sure that could be helpful, even though it's the opposite of what I'm saying. It's kind of that same, like, shock to the body. I just prefer to be hot rather than cold. Okay, human interaction. In the summer, things just seem to pop up. Randomly, you'll be hanging out with friends, and they'll invite you over to grill out. In the winter, we need to be more intentional about this. I'd say try to schedule something at least once a month, if not every 2 weeks, that's social. Some of this can be with strangers. I just took a sewing class this month, and it was every week for 3 weeks, and it was just really nice to get out of the house and interact with strangers. It can be a learning opportunity and a social interaction. If you're in Boise area, the Boise Learns program is a fantastic way to learn with other people for like really reasonable rates, and they have courses across like all sorts of verticals, and so that would be a recommendation. But maybe it's, just having a standing dinner with family or a standing dinner with friends or a book club or whatever it is, getting some human interaction on your schedule, because otherwise the months just pass us by. Lastly, let's talk about food and exercise. As we end January, perhaps some of our resolutions around healthy living have started to wane, or hopefully you've stuck with it and are noticing differences in how you feel. I can tell you that being pregnant, I have had a really strong focus on healthy eating and making sure I'm exercising multiple times a week. And for me, this looks like strength training 2 to 3 days and prenatal yoga once a week, and long walks with Sage Girl, of course. Nutrition-wise, I've been really focused on making sure that what I'm putting in my body is nutritionally optimal for baby Duncan. I'm not a crazy person. I still allow myself a cookie or ice cream here and there, but largely I'm trying to eat fairly low-carb, high-protein, high-healthy fat diet that's packed with fruits and vegetables of a variety of colors. The unexpected, though, should be like expected benefit, is that I have felt great. What we're putting into our bodies does directly impact how we feel mentally and our energy levels. One of the things so many of us love about the summer months is the fresh and colorful food. The good thing to recognize is that we live in a world where you can get tropical fruits, fresh herbs, gardens, vegetable galore, even in the dead of winter. Is that zucchini going to taste as good as the one you picked fresh from your garden in August? Likely not, but as I like to say, good, better, best. We don't have to limit ourselves to eating root vegetables all winter long and avoiding fresh, colorful, exotic produce. I encourage you to make some of your favorite bright and flavor-packed meals that you enjoy in the summertime. Maybe swap your table linens for something more colorful. Create a mental escape into summer. I enjoy the winter months for the cozy vibes, but there's only so much comfort food that one can eat before we quite literally can be weighed down by it. It stops being a comfort and starts being generic. Switch it up. Make salad with salmon cakes. We love homemade sushi night. If you don't feel like all that effort, a sushi bake is an easy recipe that still feels like a summer meal. Taco night, Mexican style, not American, is always a fun way to escape to summer. Lastly, while there's a lot nutritionally we can get from our diet, there are limitations. Blood work is always a good idea if you're feeling sluggish, constantly off. Despite sleeping, you're eating, you're exercising well, and you're still tired. According to the Cleveland Clinic, 50% of the world population is vitamin D deficient, and 35% of U.S. adults are deficient. I was taking 1,000 IUs of vitamin D every day, had been for some time, went in for routine blood work, and it came back that despite this, I was vitamin D deficient. I couldn't believe it. So my doctors upped my vitamin D dosage, and within 3 months, I was in the proper range again, feeling better. All of this is to say that blood work is important. If you feel off, you think you're doing the right things, eating, sleeping, exercising well, there may be something more going on, so trust those feelings. Get checked out. I hope this episode inspires you to bring some of what we love about summer into these winter months to ward off the winter blues. This was my list about what I love about summer, and while it may align with what you love about summer, I encourage you to sit down and ask yourself, what do you love about summer? What do you miss? What are you looking forward to? And then put your thinking cap on in regards to how you can bring some of those feelings and activities into the winter months to bridge the gap to warmer weather, more sunshine, and everything we enjoy about spring and summer. Until next week, happy homemaking, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.